Welcome back to Creative Mathematics and Coding with CodeWorld. You're at Unit 1, Lesson 3, Part 1, Functions. Several videos back, we talked about functions as an important part of how to communicate clearly and precisely with your computer. In this lesson, we'll dig in deeper and gain a better understanding of what functions are all about. We can define a function as a relationship that associates any input with one specific output. It's kind of like a vending machine. You put something in, you get something out. But the important thing about a function is that for anything you can put in, you'll get one specific thing back out again. That's what makes functions so useful for being exact and precise. Let's look at an example. This blue box represents the world of numbers. Even though you only see a few numbers, imagine any number you can think of is somewhere in that box. This red box represents the world of pictures. Any picture is somewhere in this box. You can use a function to match up any number with a corresponding picture. That is, you put a number in, you get a picture back out. Here's an example of one function you might define. Notice how every number is matched up with a specific corresponding picture. When we talk about this function, we'll call this blue box on the left the domain. That's the type of thing that you put into the function. We'll call this box on the right the range. This is the type of thing you expect to get back out. Remember that the function itself is not a number and it's not a picture. It's a relationship between the two, a rule or a pattern for how to associate any possible number with one specific picture that it points to. Take a second to look at this particular function and see if you can describe that pattern or rule. You might have noticed that every arrow points to a picture of a circle, and that the smaller numbers point to smaller circles, the larger numbers point to larger circles. This pattern exactly describes the circle function that you've already worked with. This notation at the bottom of your screen is just a shorthand that says circle is a function from numbers to pictures. The input or domain is numbers, the output or range is pictures. Because the computer already knows the circle function, you don't need to type this in as code in your program. It's just a quick way for us to write down that fact. Once you have a function in mind, we can investigate this function further by making a function table. This table captures exactly the relationship between an argument, an input to the function taken from its domain, and a result, that is, an output from the function taken from its range. In this case, the domain is numbers. So some possible arguments are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Each of these numbers corresponds to a specific picture, a circle with that number as its radius. A function table is one useful way to understand the rule or pattern described by a function. Let's look at a different example. This time we're looking at the drawing of function. The inputs to drawing of, or the domain, is pictures, and the output or range is programs. It might be a little harder to get your head around what this function means, because the programs that drawing of produces are really simple. All they do is show a picture. But remember, a computer program, even a really simple one, is a different type of thing from a picture. So the drawing of function takes the idea of a picture on the left and turns it into a computer program, a thing you can run to see the picture on the right. Now that you've got down the idea of a function, let's talk about how to use them in your code. To use a function, you'll just type the name of the function, followed by a pair of parentheses, an open parenthesis and a closed parenthesis, and place the argument or the input to that function inside of those parentheses. To keep this straight, it helps to think of your code as being like a frying pan. The parentheses can be extended into a circle for the pan and the name of the function forms a handle attached to that circle. You want to practice this until it's second nature. So one thing we can do is write down code on paper and actually draw in the frying pans, clarify the roles of the function name, the parentheses, and the argument. Here's another example. The rectangle function has two arguments, 3 and 1. Again, though, the parentheses surrounding those arguments can be extended into a pan where you put in the inputs to the function, and the name of the function you give them to acts like a handle for this frying pan. Can you make a frying pan out of this function on your own? I'll give you a second to work. Is this what you came up with? You can extend the parentheses into the frying pan itself. Remember, the arguments go inside that pan, and the name of the function forms the handle attached to the front. Now it's your turn. Go back and look at one of your simple name tag examples and find as many places as you can where you've used functions in the code. Mark up those functions by completing your circles and adding the frying pan handle, so you can see what's going on. Try that, and I'll see you next time.